United States. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Genealogy Adventures. I'm Brian Sheffey.
And I'm Donya Williams. How are you guys doing today? We wanted to play the disclaimer, but for some reason it did not play. So I want to say this. Um yeah, this is a very touchy subject, and I want to make sure you guys understand that this is a very touchy subject, and we want you to, if it's too much for you, we understand if you cannot watch it, and we understand that if you need to walk away, please do so. You might see me come off for a second because it's personal. So
And I just want to say to our audience watching on TikTok that this episode does come with a trigger warning. It comes with a sensitivity warning. We are going to be talking about some very, as Donnie was saying, some very sensitive issues involving non-white children in the United States, and basically we're presenting a timeline of persecution from the past to the present. So I
yeah,
can imagine, as a African American mother, as a Black woman with children, um, of course this is going to be personal to you. Um, for Black women in this country, that's almost hardwired into your DNA, going all the way back to the colonial period, whether you were enslaved, or free. Um, Kids and Black women, that has been a torturous history in this country. So I get it. If you need to take a beat, you need to take a beat.
yeah. Well, it's personal for me because I've experienced um, something very similar to this whole situation, and that's why I am saying that this is personal on a different level. um but
Well, again, even with me, I've shared the story with you when I was in the sixth grade, wintertime, playground, snow on the ground. I had been called the hard ER word um, in elementary school, and I don't know what it was about this particular day, but I lost it. Edgefield. I didn't know it at the time, but Edgefield just came right out of me, and I belted the kid who said it to me. Um, and what did I get faced with? The threat of being not expelled, but suspended from school for a week. And they had to deal with my Edgefield connected mom, who I don't know what she said, but that was taken off the table.
so let's
It's
let, let's start from the beginning. I want to say these babies'
Mhm.
names right now, from the enslaved African American children to the Native American boarding schools, to Maria and Josepha, to the Jim Crow era kids, to the Japanese American internment camps, George Stinney, Emmett Till, Claudette Colvin, to the kissing case, James and David Thompson, Ruby Bridges, the Leesburg Stockade girls, the Birmingham Children's Crusade, school to prison pipeline kids from the 1960s to the 1980s, Lionel Tate, Ronald and Rodney Thompson brothers, the post 9/11 anti-Muslim racism children, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, and so many, many, many more. These non I am really having a problem with this. These non-white children have gone through things on so many different levels and so many different times. At so many different times, and our children are constantly used throughout the years and have been abused throughout these years to be persecuted,
Mhm.
and it's happened so much, and we need
And
to
I'm not
play.
sure if you said it, but I know that we've spoken about it, but also the Native American children and that whole horror show with the Native American schools, stripped from their families, sent to schools, beaten, abused, starved, just denativized. They're stripped of their language, their customs, their traditions.
Of all of that, I did. I said their names,
Yeah.
and I want us to continue to say their names. All of this was brought about because of the little 5-year-old baby who is autistic, who was represented, well, who had a white woman call him a nigger. um,
Repeatedly.
on April 30th, repeatedly, because he was trifling through her child's diaper bag. And
And
she
I
wanted,
just want to I just
mhm,
want to emphasize one thing. He was 5 years old,
and he was
so
autistic.
we know what 5 year olds are like anyway. And he was autistic on top of that.
Yeah.
But he was going through her bag, as you were saying.
And he was 5 and he was autistic and he was going through her bag, and a man caught her on video calling him a nigger, chasing him, and she was actually going to hit him as well. And because he caught her on tape doing these things, and she didn't care. She gave him the finger. She repeated the word nigger like 5 times after that, and then she proceeded to make a phone call. This was something else that I found. She proceeded to make a phone call afterwards and started telling people that they needed to come down there. No one showed up and she left. But then she got on, first she got on GoFundMe, tried to make an account on GoFundMe. GoFundMe declined it because GoFundMe has a policy where if you are doing something that is racially motivated, they will not do it. They will not allow you to
Mhm.
create that account. So then she went to a Christian based platform that allowed her to create this account. And as of right now, this lady now has gotten over $600,000 that has been donated to her, and the comments in that particular account are horrendous. These people are donating in the name of Austin Metcalf, the young man who was killed, stabbed to death by the other black guy, Carmelo Metcalf. The Carmelo, what's his name? Carmelo
Anthony?
Anthony. Yes,
Anthony.
Carmelo Anthony, when he was protecting himself. And yeah, so these are reasonings. They're using these reasonings as to why they're helping this lady. Yesterday, I go ahead, Brian.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Mhm.
So, before anyone asks why Donnie and I are saying that this woman was getting prepared to lay hands on her, there was an important word or phrase that the man who documented this in real time used. He said she was chasing him. You don't chase anyone unless you plan on putting hands on them. The way he described her going for this kid, an adult does not do that unless they are prepared to lay hands. So that is why we're saying, in our estimation, she was going to hit it. She was going to lay hands on him.
Yeah, she was on him.
And my
So
point to you, when we're talking about this on the phone, that is a child, regardless of whether he is autistic or not. 5-year-old child. If you're on a playground and you are unhappy, and it's not a physical altercation between two kids, if you're unhappy about the behavior of a child, you go to that child's adult, their parent, their carer, whoever, whatever adult is accompanying that child on the playground, that is who you speak to. You do not speak directly to a child. I thought that was kind of understood. Maybe I'm
well,
wrong.
the problem with that, Brian, is that he didn't have adults there with him. He had his siblings with him. So, and I've done some research on it, and his siblings were with him, and they were afraid. They didn't know what to do. And thankfully, this man stepped up. Now, where are the problems with this? This man has a couple of charges that were against him that were he was not that was taken away, but they're still on him. These are cases that he was not necessarily found not guilty of, but they were removed, but they're still there, if that makes
You know,
sense.
I kind of feel that
That doesn't matter.
that's a game that the people play.
That's a
He
game that the people play.
he
You're absolutely right.
he documented a wrong being done to a child. That is
Exactly.
the beginning and the end of it.
Exactly. It shouldn't, none of that stuff should matter. But nevertheless, this is something that was put out there, that he does have some cases against that some cases that were filed on him, but he documented what this woman was doing. And he basically saved that child's life because his siblings could not. Now I want to go into my personal story and why this hurts me the way that it does. um I am 53 years old. I have four children, one of which, my third son, is autistic. And his, I don't have to say his name, but nevertheless, my third son is autistic. And when he was in high school, he was bullied. And the bullying actually went on for a year and he did not say anything. And it wasn't until my cousin's daughter saw a Snapchat of my son and kids were laughing, and the Snapchat was actually at another school, because she didn't go to school with my son. And she saw the Snapchat of the kids laughing, and she was like, "That's my cousin, what are y'all doing?" And she immediately called her mother, who is like my sister, and my cousin called me, and I immediately called the school, and it just caused a whole thing. And I started dealing with the school. And then the last thing that happened was my son went to the bathroom and somebody threw a a trash can over the toilet stall, over the stall, and hit my baby and busted his nose. It wasn't a big bust, but it was a bust nonetheless. So y'all remember that scene from Martin where Gina came up with the tennis shoes and the Vaseline, and came up in the school because she was getting ready to go beat up Martin's old teacher. That was Donya, but Donya had already, she ain't come with the stuff and everything. I already had it on. And I walked up in that school ready to fight any and everybody. I was kicking doors in, all kinds of stuff. His father was on the phone with me at one point, and he was telling me, "Hey, listen, the principal, the guy that I'm trying to talk to, he's laughing and hanging up the phone." I lied to y'all not. I kicked the door in, and I was like, "Which one of you, beep beep beep, is laughing on the phone with my son's father? Because y'all can catch it too." That's who I was. But understand this, I'm dealing with a kid at the time. I'm trying to find out about the kid. I want to know what's happening and where's the child and what we're doing with this child. Why is this happening? Why did y'all let these children do these things? That's where my mindset was. It was about me dealing with dealing with why these adults was letting these children do these things. It wasn't about me dealing with an adult doing this to a child. So once I calmed down and once I realized, okay, Donya, you need to bring yourself to a certain level, get yourself together, meet with the necessary families, meet with the necessary things, and do what I need to do. Okay, I'm there. I've gotten to that point. My brother came with me, my two children came with me, and two of my children came with me. And we went and we met. And that's when I realized, you know what? They're not even helping this kid that did what he did. They're not doing what they're supposed to do for that child. With that being said, I'm now trying to help that child get what he needs so he can get what he has to get. Never in my mind did I ever think that I needed to deal with an adult doing anything to my son. Never in my mind. So when I saw this little baby having to deal with something like that, that took me on another level. That's not my life, y'all. I've always said that I am not supposed to live in that life, and that I know that there is a God because he made it possible for me not to live in that world, in the world of my ancestors, because he knew I wasn't going to make it. He knew I wasn't going to make it in that world. And I promise you, I was with my cousin, the same cousin that called me. I was with her today. And when I tell y'all, she literally said the exact same words. She said, "Oh, no, I could never live in that world because I would have died." And I'm like, hey, that's my words. Those are my words. That's the exact same words. This is who we, it's who we are. That's, I couldn't live in that world. And the fact that now I have been forced into that world because of the person that has now been placed into this presidency. We can't, I'm not able, I don't know how to do that. And so now I'm
Yeah,
back to protecting my adult son. Now adult son, and y'all making me do things that I don't, I mean, like, I don't know how to, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah. Because would it be, is it fair for me to say that, and I think I'm using the right term, this is almost another form of epigenetics, that cultural, genetically hardwired trauma that just gets passed, that has just been passed down since 1619 for our people. And that's what you're reacting to. Remember, we had these conversations about epigenetics saying, um, because of all of that accumulated trauma that we've inherited, that have been added to because of the society that we live in. It's not like racism ever stopped or the outrages ever stopped. Um, we have just this really, just the trauma triggers us. It triggers something really deep in our souls. And there's no one more vulnerable. And we know as a people, there is nothing more vulnerable, and we're going to speak from our perspective, than a Black child. All children are vulnerable, but we know the history of what happened to our children being taken away. And, putting this contextually, going again back to the 1600s, your child could be sold away from you in a moment. Even if he or she wasn't sold away from you, anyone could have a go at beating that baby, and you wouldn't be able to lift a finger to save it. The master could beat it, the mistress could beat it, their kids could beat it, the overseer could beat it. Anyone could beat it, and you couldn't
Yeah,
do anything about it.
but see, that's just it, Brian. You had mothers who actually did do things up to it. They were poisoning the slave masters. They were
Hmm?
slowly like giving them bad diarrhea. They were responding back to these people. They didn't know they were being responded back to, but they were being responded back to. Whether they knew it or not was the question. But they were always being responded back to, in one way or another. And they just
Or,
didn't understand it. They had,
or,
whether it was ground up glass in their
oh yeah.
food, and or what have you. But now we're in a different time period. Now
But we're
everybody got
content. But yeah. But we're trying to root this in history. There is a reason why we react the way that we do, and I don't think that non-black people quite get that. Where that rage, anger, frustration, sorrow, all the words that we
I'm not going
feel.
to say they don't get that. I'm going to say that they're not that they refuse to accept that. See, what I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to this, Brian, because the one thing that I will never give a white person is they act like slavery don't exist until they start recognizing that slavery happened. They're going to always give themselves, they don't take responsibility. Once they start taking responsibility of slavery and what it did and all of the things that happened, not just slavery, I'm talking about everything that I just named out, all of the different things that I just named on all of these different kids, from the enslavement of African kids to the Native American boarding schools and what they did to these kids, to every little thing that ever happened. They have to take responsibility. Germans
But
took
my point
responsibility for
is,
what they did during the Holocaust, and because they took
yeah.
responsibility for that shit.
Well, they're trying to push back on that now. They're dealing with their flip side of this whole scenario. But what I'm saying is, Largely, violence done to white children is largely done by other white people. It's done by other white people. There's
But
not
they
a
take
history, but this,
but they take responsibility for what they did to themselves. Why can't they take responsibility to what for what they
but they
did to
had
us?
legal, but they could go to the court. They could sue. They could get the police. They have all that support. We don't have that. It's different. They don't get it. Why don't you just call the police and be unalived? I don't think so. Why don't you bring a lawsuit? Well, with what money? First of all, and second of all, are we even going to get a fair hearing?
And
Trayvon
I get
Martin.
that, but I think Sharon just put it best. And this is what
Mhm.
they say. What white America says it is the past, and why can't it just be forgotten? See, and that's the problem in itself. Why can't they just accept whatever it is that
No,
they
no.
did?
And I've got the question for them. When did it end? When did
And
the
it
attacks?
hasn't.
When has? Give me the year that attacks on Black people and Black culture and Black society. Give me the year that that ended. And
And
there
that's
is
my
no answer for that because it's.
that's my overall problem. And that's why this particular thing, that's why it what brought this conversation today, what brought this show out today is the fact that when the news finally started to talk about what this lady did, they talked about it like it's the first time that it happened. When I just
Yeah, I
named
know.
from the, you know what I'm saying? When I just named from the 1600s, they talked about like this is the first time that this happened. And it's not. It's not the first time that this happened. This happens all the time. This happens
Again,
forever.
if it's because the American, well, I can't even limit it to American press and media. It's global media at this point. They always make Black Americans seem like we're the most irrational people on the face of the planet, that we have no legitimate gripes or complaints about anything. They're always shutting us down. I
Is
had
it
this
American
argument.
people or is it just Black people? Let's be clear on that. Is it American people or is it just Black people? Because every time I say something, oh, you're just complaining. It's okay. You'll get past it. But when if a white person comes and says the exact same thing, really, did that really happen? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
I'm really sorry that that's going on. Now that white people are starting to say the same shit, and I'm sorry because I knew I was gonna curse, and I'm really sorry, and I'm really sorry. But when they start saying the same things that we've been saying for a while now, we've been saying it for a while, and now that we're saying it, now it's happened. And that's the same thing with the Jewish
Yeah.
folks for the Holocaust. You know how many times those people, the Holocaust survivors, were saying that it happened, and it wasn't until they finally admitted that it happened, and now it's a reality.
Sorry, because someone just dropped the most insane comment. Mr. Servant of the Most High, please don't make those comments because we're very emotional right now, and that is not helping. There were no 13 Black colonies in the United States in colonial America. Just stop. Just stop. That is not productive. It is
Boy, bye.
not productive.
I'm not in the mood for you today. It's not.
No.
I don't have it. I don't have it.
So let's keep things in the realm of fact, please.
Because until you can give me proof of that crap, I'm not going to do that.
Well,
That's
we know who founded the 13 colonies. We know the records are there. I don't even want to waste any more time on that
nope.
because it's
That's
insane.
it. Yeah.
That's
I'm
that.
because we're
Going
talking
back,
about
so going back to the kids.
I'm not. We are not going to do. My whole thing is going back to these babies that went through all of the things that they have been going through, and now they're starting to go. They're continuously going through them. How do we stop it? How do we? What is it that we're going to do? Because I'm telling y'all right now, this is how Black kids. Thank you, Shelly. She says, "Stay focused."
But
So
that's the crux of the whole issue. We're only 13% of the American population. It's not a problem that we ever created. Why is the onus always on us to fix the evil, awful, nasty things
But I'm
that
not
other
even
people
trying to
who
fix
aren't
the
us?
but that's not even what I want to fix, Brian. My goal
Hmm.
is to continue to make to get our kids out of this. Like, we got to get our kids out of this. Like, I know one of the conversations that my sister and I had before I spoke to you was, we both said the exact same thing. If that was us, we not videoing. Because one of the things that we realized was the only way Black people are defending themselves this in this day and age is by video. Let me tell you what Donya is never going to do. She is never going to video anything. I'm never going to video. Karen will never say something to me and it be videotaped by me. Okay? I'm gonna smack the living crap out of her. She will never, it will never ever, if Karen walks up to me and does some really crazy crap, Karen's gonna get her throat chopped. You understand what I'm saying? She's gonna get her throat chopped. She's gonna get something. Her nose is gonna get knocked up into something. She gonna start leaking real quick, real fast. It's not gonna. It's not going. It's yeah. That's not. I'm not videoing. That's the
And
crux
I'm
of this
just,
entire thing.
and for the benefit of the audience who doesn't know us, what Danya is saying is, and you can believe it or not, but a lot of this is coming from our ancestry in Edgefield. Those
That
people were
part.
off the chain. They were off the chain.
That
And we
part.
have
I'm not her.
all of that. We have all of that DNA.
Yeah, I like I said, when people come out with the I'm not the ancestor, I'm my ancestor times 1 million. Understand me when I say that. Because my
Hmm.
ancestors through hand, like I said, for those that are on my Facebook page from this morning, my ancestors threw hands. You understand me? They threw hands. They were
Okay.
quick with it.
And for
And
my
so am
audience watching, and for the audience watching on TikTok and Facebook, I shared a post this morning about Miles Yeldell. He's a Danya
I. I'm
has
a
Yell is a
descendant.
direct Yeldell descendant.
That's who
So
I am.
read
I'm a
about
descendant.
him and then listen to what Danya just said.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So with that
Um,
being said,
but it's
yeah,
just and it's unending. And the other thing that I really liked about the show is we were opening it up to just to discuss more than just Black children because it affects all children who are not white.
yeah.
We just did all of this research again about what happened to the Native American schools, and then you hit me with something right before we went on online, 1891 with Maria and Josefa, the Mexican school segregation that affected
Because
kids
it's
up to the age of 12. That was
and
crazy.
we're
I never heard of that before.
and not only that, let's be clear, we're not talking about just Black and brown kids, because the Japanese camps, those
Yep,
babies was in there. You understand what
they
I'm
were in
saying?
there.
We're talking about every non-white child. This is how they get you. This is how they get you out there. This is what they do to you. This is what they
And
do. This is how they pull you in. And
the
I want
only
to, and
thing,
now before you say something, Brian, I need to say this because Sharon has pulled out another thing. She said, "Don't forget about Preston," because I'm a descendant of him
yes,
too, and I want every Black person to understand this. You are not just the ancestor of your Black people. You're the ancestor of all of your people, Black, white, Native American, no matter how you put it out there. So you
mhm.
are your ancestors, no matter how you put it out there, no matter who it was that were fighting, no matter what it was that were fighting. So trust,
And
know,
again,
and believe. You're a fighter at heart, no matter what.
so again, for the benefit of those who don't know, because I don't know what's taught in American history classes and what isn't. So Dong is a direct descendant of Preston Brooks. He is like my second or third great uncle. So we've got that Brooks blood. He is the congressman from South Carolina who nearly beat Charles Sumner to death on
Yeah, so I'm violent.
on the Senate floor. That is our ancestor, and we have that blood. So
I'm laughing. I'm not violent. I'm not violent. I'm not violent.
no,
I'm just
well, I would like to say that as we've gotten older, we've gotten better at managing it. But if someone pushes the right buttons, and with you, it's always going to be kids.
that
Kids
is my
are
button.
your
And my
button,
mama. And my mama.
and your mama. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, don't mess with my mama.
And your
That's
ride
my
or
button.
die family.
That's
And your
yeah.
ride or die family. Now,
Yeah.
the one group of kids that I did try to do some research before coming on live was Chinese American children, specifically in the 1860s and 70s when they were building the railroads. Do you know I could not find any? That's even scarier in its own way because you know that there were kids here. The couples
That
came
part.
here to work and they brought their kids, or they had kids when they were here. That was the one group of non-white kids I could find nothing about.
Mm. He says, I'm not trying to be funny. My family line is a farty black Jew from other Scotland, France, and England. I have the records and the bloodline from the World Database. That's good for
Again,
you.
not the conversation that we're having.
That's
Not the conversation that we're
I'm happy
having.
for you. So, well, hello, cousin. So the thing is that these children of today is how the Trump administration is going to try to pull no matter any non-white people out. This is how they're going to do it. And we need to figure out how we're going to protect our children because these are the people that are not being protected, and especially special needs, elderly, our elderly family members, all of that. We have
Well,
to figure that.
before we get on to the laying of hens in schools, because we need to have that conversation, I wanted to talk about George Stinney Jr. That poor baby.
Did
Because
y'all
you
know?
you made me drop my mouth open in the green room. Go ahead and tell him.
So, for those who don't know who George Stinney Jr. is, George Stinney Jr. is a 14-year-old who was falsely accused of murdering two white girls in South Carolina. He had an all white jury. There was no defense. He was executed in an electric chair, and he was the youngest in the 20th century US history. And his conviction was vacated in 2014. Now, here's the kicker, and this is what made um, Brian's mouth drop. He is given the distinction of being among the youngest documented non white child persecuted by adults in US history. The youngest.
Yeah. I was going to say one more time for the people in the back.
The youngest.
And
That
he was
baby,
innocent.
and he was innocent. That baby had to literally sit on books to be executed because
And
he
it
was
was
too
not quick.
small. He
And it
was
was
too,
not quick.
yeah, he
It
was
was
too
not
small.
quick. That was a horrific way to go.
That part, that part.
And now, with this current administration, and we have other examples that will scatter throughout the show. But now we're in a period where this government has sanctioned corporal punishment for kids in schools. Now we know this isn't going to happen in charter schools, or at least not to white kids in charter schools. Um, because I'm still blown away by that Catholic school in Oregon. That child was called racist words. His parents went to that school to defend him like any black parent would. We opened up the show with me saying that my father was at sea. My mother had to go to the elementary school to deal with my mess on her own. And the kid gets expelled. He's the victim. At what point did he deserve what he was meted out? So you can't defend yourself. And then now teachers are going to be allowed to use corporal punishment. And we know that it's going to be non-white kids that are going to get the brunt of it. We know it.
So Cindy and I had a conversation about that. Cindy is a white counterpart as far as genealogy is concerned, and she is very knowledgeable about history and research. And she's one of those white researchers that understands the history of what is going on. And when we were having the conversation about this whole situation, when they said that, the one thing that she said, now mind you guys, this what is it called? This executive order came out April
Yes.
24th. Yeah, that's what it's called. This executive order came out April 24th. And when this executive order came out and we had this discussion about it, the first thing she said was, this is going to give them the opportunity to bring kick non-white children out of school. Those were her exact words. And when she made that comment, I agreed with her and I said, you're absolutely right. It's going to give them the opportunity to kick non-white children out of school because of behavior issues. And she said, this is what she originally said, and I agreed with her. Not 14 days later, Brian, don't answer him.
No, can we kick him off? Can we just get
Yeah,
rid
you
of
can
him?
go on YouTube to kick him off. Because that's why I'm not putting this stuff up there. Uh the you can She went, not 14 days later, she came back and she said, Donya called it. And she started talking about this whole thing with the Oregon, and talking about the fact that they had literally expelled this young man and that they put him out. But the fact that they put him out because of his parents and not him is just beyond crazy. He didn't even do anything. So I asked her, I said, is there any progress with what's going on with him? And she said yes. She said the progress is there are definitely parents who are backing the parents and that child. They're trying to get that particular principal removed. And there are several parents that will not be bringing their children back to that particular school. Now, here's the other thing. Let's be mindful. The Catholic schools have never been supportive of African Americans. Never. Let's be mindful. Georgetown University is the school, which is Catholic, that literally sold African Americans into Louisiana. That is the Georgetown 272. That is the GU 272 project that is going on now, that people found and went into that whole situation of people. And now you got benefits, because if you are a descendant of the GU 272, you have benefits as far as that is concerned, but you have to prove that you are a descendant. But Catholics have never been supportive of African Americans. So that's kind of natural to see that these Catholic schools are defending in that manner. But here we go. We're
Yeah.
back to this again.
We're in a country that was never down with us learning how to read or write in the first place. That wasn't meant for us.
No,
It wasn't.
they didn't want it to happen. They didn't want it to happen. They want to take us back to that time period. But understand this, taking us back to that time period, even if they tried to take us back to that time period, understand that it didn't stop us then, because we still learned then. We were still doing things then. We were still great
Mm-hmm.
then.
And
You understand? We were still great then. My grandfather had what, a sixth grade education, and he founded how many? Three churches. So do not play with us.
we're exceptional at teaching each other.
And we were exceptional at teaching each other.
Pull each
So,
other up.
I mean, that you making that statement, you saying that takes me to a song by Heavy D, God rest his soul. And he said, slavery, he said, maybe we need to go back to slavery. He said it was bad, but it made us be together. He was like, maybe we need to go back. Now, of course, he didn't want us to go back, but he was trying to prove a point about something. Because at that time, this is what we did. We took care of each other. We made sure that everybody was taken care of, and we had to do what we had to do in order to move and grow and be what we needed to be. And then once we reached that pinnacle, nowadays, once we got the Civil Rights Act, then we went away and we were like, oh, we made it. Now we're all equal. But we weren't.
Mm.
We were never equal at that moment. And now we need to, now we're going back. We're literally being pushed back because he's getting rid of all of the civil rights stuff, all of it. He's getting rid of all of it.
including wanting to segregate schools again in the South, in the deep
which
South.
takes us to Louisiana because it's segregated. Louisiana is segregated. What's going to happen to those black children there? What's going to happen to those books? We actually there is I think I even pulled one of those things up. That's the is that the Birmingham Children Crusade? No, I missed one. There was another one where it was. Oh no, that's the Mexican school segregation. That's the one that said early instances of school segregation for Mexican American children in the Southwest. Children placed in inferior schools with limited resources, often under manual labor curriculums. That's what's going to happen. It's that kind of stuff. That's placing you back into slave labor.
Pretty
Watch
much.
these things. Watch it. Watch it. These are the kind of things that they want to try to do. This is how they're going to push this stuff back in. We have to protect our children. We have to protect our kids. How are we
But
going to
to
do
me,
that?
the crazy thing for me is they're acting like they're going to be the American version of, I guess, a Fourth Reich would be the way to put it, without really understanding that the Third Reich was actually set up to fail from the offset. I mean, it was a horror show what happened while it was up and running.
That
MAGA
part.
is not going to last forever. This is going to end. Don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you when it's going to end. I'm hoping it's going to end at the midterms, or at least get us on the road towards ending it at the midterms. But MAGA's not going to last forever, but that's what they're acting like.
I mean, is MAGA and Priscilla Holmes made a good point. Executive orders are not law. If we let them get away with it without challenge, they will. And that's it. So somebody made a comment on I was reading something on Instagram about these these executive orders and everything, and they were like, now we have to impeach Trump. It's not even about impeaching Trump at this point because Democrats have been infiltrated. First of all, you got to get rid of all the GOP, the whole GOP. It's not just Trump anymore. It's all of them. And I'm not saying get rid of the Republicans. I'm saying get rid of the people that are in there, get a right set. I'm not saying that you got to have an opposition. Life is not right if you don't have an opposition. I do not I believe that with everything in my heart. You have to have
Um,
opposition. But
listen,
in the same instance, you have to have the right type of opposition. I believe in opposition.
if
And this is
anyone had
not it.
ever if anyone had ever told me that I would be pulling and plugging for Adam Kissinger
That
and
part.
Liz Cheney,
That
if I would have
part.
had them as the heroes of the day, I would have thought you were punking me.
There
I
you go.
seriously would have thought you were punking
There
me.
you go. That's
So
my
they
point.
do exist.
Even what's her name? What's her name? The Hispanic lady. Because she's a Republican. But
Oh,
she
Anna,
has
Anna
Anna.
on the View, Anna
Yes.
Cabrera, something.
I can't think of her
It
last, but
begins with the
her
C.
first name is
Yes,
Anna.
Anna.
And when I tell you I love her with everything in me, I love that lady. I love that lady. But and Michael Steele is a Republican.
He is.
He is a Republican. So you have a good opposition of people that you can have. But you don't but these folks right here, this is a racist group of people and that is not a good opposition. You need
Navarro. Thank you.
Annie
Thank you,
Navarro.
Anthony Navarro.
Yes. And that is not this group that's here is not a good opposition. This is not a good opposition of people. These people
And
this is
again, as Donnie was also saying, not every serving Democrat. It's like not all black folk are skin folk.
that
Not all
part.
Democrats are down. They're not down.
They're not.
You have that woman from Oregon who just rubber stamps everything that MAGA puts on the table.
That's right. Because, and that's what I said in this whole thing. I was like, not only do you have to get rid of all the GOP, you got to get them daggone people. You got to get the infiltrated Democrats that's in there, because it's been infiltrated. It's
It has.
definitely been infiltrated. You have to find the right people. And right now we don't even have the right people that's in there. And they know it. So now all of a sudden they're voting Democratic all the way through now. If y'all haven't caught it, start recognizing this stuff. Start understanding these things, because that's what's going on. That's what's happening. Don't keep falling for this stuff. You got these people now. You got the man who chased this boy down because he didn't do a tip. He chased this young boy down.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
And it was
followed this
it was takeout, which made it even worse.
takeout. And again, this young boy, he defended himself by video, and he chased him. And I posted that. That was another thing that I posted yesterday. Do
Yeah.
not all of a sudden now you a bad husband and a bad store owner and not a good son to your mother and your father because you chase this boy down and you get free food. The listen, listen, stay away from my kids, all of them. Stay away from my children. Because that was
And the
a
one,
young boy. He was a teenager from high school. He paid for his food. Since when do we tip for takeout? I need to know. The first person that tell me they tip for takeout, I'm a tip. I'll pay for your next food, because I don't tip for takeout. I don't know about nobody else, but I don't tip for takeout because all you did was fix my food and I'm gonna pick it up. I pick it up.
now, the one that I reminded you of yesterday was the very first one that I experienced when I first came back from the United Kingdom. And that was New York City Bodega Betty. And that little boy. And remember, she accused him of touching her behind. And he
She
didn't
took me
touch
to
her at
Emmett
all.
Till.
He just got, it was his backpack that hit her.
That was the
And
Emmett Till move.
that was an yeah, that was an
She could
Emmett Till
she
move.
could have took his that could have turned into a whole Emmett Till thing.
Oh yeah. Quick.
That could have turned into an Emmett Till thing.
Because the elephant in the room is there's certain people who know that as soon as you call the police, say it's a black person, you felt threatened or you were assaulted, blah, blah, blah. The chances that you have just unalived the person that you just phoned the police on, pretty high,
All of that. All of
pretty
that.
high. And they weaponize that.
They
And they
weaponize. Yes,
weaponize
they
that
do.
and they weaponize it against our kids, which I personally think is sick. It's bad enough doing it to an adult,
It is sick.
but it's sick to do that to a kid. Tamir Rice, that poor boy's soul was in heaven before his body even knew he was dead.
That
That
part.
cop blew him away so quick.
2 seconds.
2 seconds. His
Two
spirit was in
seconds.
heaven before his body knew it was dead.
2 seconds. He shot him in 2 seconds. That is literally what the note says. They said the officer fired within 2 seconds of arriving on the scene, and Tamir died the next day. Despite the lack of evidence suggesting criminal activity, no officers were criminally charged.
And the worst part of that was the woman who phoned it in to dispatch said, I think the gun may be fake. That part, the dispatcher never relayed to the responding police officer. Just there was a boy in a park with a gun. And it was a fake gun, a toy gun.
When I tell y'all this was the hardest research that I've ever done to find all of this information, and it's still, I have a timeline from 1860 to 2014.
That was one of the most depressing timelines I've ever looked at.
The real bad part is that there are two sets. I want y'all to understand this. Two sets of Thompson brothers, same ages, 7 and 9. The first set was in 1958. The second set was in 1999. When I tell y'all that their stuff, that's almost to the year 40, 50 years to the year,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost the exact same crime.
That wasn't a crime.
That wasn't a crime.
The
Almost.
1958 one in North Carolina, a little white girl was dared to kiss two black boys. How was that the black boys' fault? Snatched up, thrown in jail, denied access to any adult, much less a lawyer. Any adult. And they were and correct me if I'm wrong, they were held that way for a couple of weeks.
Keep saying, you tell that one, I'll tell 99.
Uh, It's kind of all I was going to, but they were hounded for the rest of their life.
Yes,
Over, even they were innocent, but they were
right.
still hounded.
And then in 1999, the other kids wrongfully accused of the murder, because this child died, 11-year-old girl. Now they're 7 and 9. They're 7 and 9. And they were
Mhm.
wrongfully accused of an 11-year-old girl. They were coerced in confession and treated as criminals. No parents, no lawyers, despite their ages. Their case exemplifies how Black children were disproportionately treated as adults in the justice system.
And before we go,
The same case, y'all. They were treated
mhm,
the exact same way as the other Thompson brothers. The other Thompson brothers were named James and David. These Thompson brothers, Ronald and Rodney. The other Thompson brothers, Monroe, North Carolina. These Thompson brothers, Chicago, Illinois. Same ages, 50 years apart. Same thing.
and I really want you to talk about that group of 15 girls that was just snatched
Oh, the
and put
Leesburg
away.
Stockade girls. Yes.
Yes.
Their information is starting to be talked about lately. The ones
Mhm.
that was taken, they were marching during the 60s. These were the young Black girls in the 60s, and they were marching, and they got taken away and never seen. They probably would have died. They were taken to a old Civil War encampment and left there, barely fed, never, no toilet, no anything, no beds, no cots, nothing. What saved them? A photographer that actually saw them behind bars. He took pictures, and the pictures became national, and that's how their families saw them. Otherwise, them girls probably would have died in that old
Yeah.
Civil War encampment.
Their families didn't even know where they were being held.
Didn't even know where they were. Nothing. These are our children. So how do we get? We are almost out of time. So how do we do this? Unfortunately, we have to vote. We have to vote. And I'm not telling you to vote Democratic or Republican. I'm just telling you to freaking vote. I'm telling you to research the people. I'm telling you to find out really good people who are going to work, people who are going to do what you need to do. Find them, help them, make sure, and then help your community around you to ensure that our children are safe. That's the only thing that we can do at this point, y'all.
Run for office. If black people are running for office, make sure that they're black people. Like I've said this on another show.
I'm tired.
Who will protect them, even if it means doing night shifts, parking outside their homes.
I run. I'm too mean to run though. I've come to that conclusion because
Yeah,
I'm too
I'm a
mean because
me.
that lady, like I'm not I'm not gonna say I'm too mean. I'm not professional enough because like I couldn't be Jasmine because Nancy Mace, she couldn't have offered me up because I'd have had that chick right there. And yeah, it'd have been a Preston Brooks thing all over again.
Now, could
My
you imagine me
mm,
in Mr. Raskin's role, Jamie Raskin's role, hearing some ridiculousness? You know me. You know your cousin. I couldn't be Jamie Raskin and reply with a witty retort. I'm jumping over and yeah, we having words. If someone asked me outside, oh, can we take this outside?
yes. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. And I'd have been standing up and taking off my earrings and everything. And I would have dragged her. I would have dragged her right on outside. Apparently I need to buy Angie some food. I got your lunch the next time because she tipped. So I got your lunch. It's all
That's
good, sis, because I got you. Because I don't tip. But Nancy Mace could have caught my hands. She could have caught my hands. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So I can't run. I can't do those things because you're not gonna offer me outside. And I want Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've been wanting that heifer since she went
Yeah.
to that baby outside on the first
Oh,
time. I've been
David
wanting
Hogg.
her. Oh
David
Lord,
Hogg.
I've been so I can't run. I have come to the conclusion that I cannot do that. And
You
I'm
know,
glad that I've realized it.
I don't
And
have the temperament. I don't have the temperament for that kind of public service. I don't. And I'm honest about that. You know, this the
yeah,
great
I
thing
can't
about being 62 is being self-aware.
yeah, yeah, that's the great thing about it. As you get older, you realize and recognize what it is that you can and cannot do. I can't do those things because I don't have the patience, and I'm not going to be the
Okay.
person to do
You want
those
to know what
things.
it is? You want to know what it is between the two of us? We're too
What?
much like Preston Brooks.
I am very much like him. I've realized that when I made the comments that he made one time, and I was like, "Oh, can't do that." So, with that being said, yeah, I'm not that person, but because Nancy Mace could have never offered me up. She could have never said to me, "Do you want to step outside?" Most definitely, that would have been me. Most definitely, sis. And if she had not stepped out, I'd have been waiting for her outside. That's the move that I would have made. So no, no, no.
But
She couldn't
again,
have done that.
I'll have a think about it. And I guess the closing minutes of the show. I mean, I mean, in terms of the kids and specifically the violence that we can now expect to be thrown at them, do we go back to the days of having our own schools? Because at
And
least when we had black schools, they weren't being shot up. I can say that. Tell me a black school where black suit kids went in and shot up a whole school.
well, that's because black mamas ain't having it, but then that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole other
Uh,
show.
we not playing. We don't do that.
Mm-mm.
So with that being said, I mean that's another show, another question. It looks like I owe Shelly too. Um, but the thing is that those are things that we have to do, and I'm waiting to hear from my church because as far as I'm concerned, our history is being erased and these black churches need to step up and they need to allow our, people who are ready to teach and show and show our history. They need to let us do it. Let us teach it. Let us show that type of stuff. I mean, there are other things that I can do. There are things that I want to do. And I don't mind doing those things, but unfortunately I can't run for an office. I have a hot temper and it is what it is.
And I guess
So
cycling back to the closing minutes on the topic of the show, MAGA's not going to change. There's no point speaking to MAGA or trying to appeal to their better
yeah, I don't
natures
care about them.
because it's they don't have it. So
Yeah,
at this point, I guess it's just us being honest about a people what we have to do to protect our kids.
that's it.
It's
And with that being said, we are out because the show is over.
yeah, we're slightly over time.
Yeah, just a little. So with that being said, we will see you guys next week. We have a great show for you guys next week. We're back until July. So you got us. Talk to you guys later.
Speak to you later. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.